Hello, my name is Bob Murdock. In 1853, my great-great-grandfather started our family business in Cincinnati on the banks of the Ohio River. Well, here we are, 5 generations and almost 160 years later, and we're still manufacturing a product that's a pretty close cousin to what he originally designed so many years ago. Now, while we make a very heavy-duty product and one that's going to last for generations, like anything mechanical, they do take time to be serviced and maintained on a regular basis. And this is key and critical to maintain the integrity of anything mechanical. I still take an aspirin every day, and so far I've beat that 4-way bypass. So just consider this like an oil change for your car. It's good preventive maintenance. Right here we have an M6100, which is a flush box hydrant. This is a typical Murdoc street washer design, where it actually would be buried flush with grade. This would be at grade level, where the box would be, only the lid for the box would be present. And from this point down to the bottom connection is going to be good old Mother Earth and compacted soil. Because your goal is to be sure that every time this hydrant drains out into the ground, in freezing climates, it becomes an anti-freezing hydrant. At the bottom of that hydrant, you're going to find a connection that looks like this. This is a union tail and nut for your supply line, but it also has a set of weep holes down on the bottom. Because as your valve body moves up and down on this valve stem, up for on, down for off, every time that water drains down out of the supply tube, you need to make sure that it drains out through these weep holes properly. And if you live in an area that has non-permeable soil or high clay content or sand, you're going to need to make sure that you take this water drainage away from the hydrant, because if not, the water will build up inside of the hydrant and will come to the surface. So you want to make sure that your drain is always open. Now, to service this hydrant, you're going to need to make sure that you've ordered a set of washers from us. And inside this hydrant is a set of washers that we commonly refer to as a seat, cup, and ring washer. To service this hydrant, you simply open the lid and make sure that you've had your screwdriver with you and a 9/16 open-end wrench. Now, there's a good chance that this hydrant's been in there for a long time, so it's going to take a little time to get this square head bolt out of here. And it may take that it's rusted, you might have to break it off, and you'll have to go down to your local hardware store and grab a new one. But once this square head bolt is out, you'll lay this over to the side so you don't lose it. You'll take your screwdriver and pry the retaining casting away from the plate, holding onto the retaining clip here, and then taking your screwdriver and at the same time forcing the plate over to the side. On this side of the box is a cast retaining piece that keeps this plate from moving up and down. And so what happens between the brace here and the retaining clip here, it keeps this plate from moving up and down when the hydrant's in operation. So you simply pry that over, and then you'll be able to grab a hold of the hydrant inner workings and pull it apart. Now, this hydrant being a street washer, the depth of bury corresponds to the inside of the hydrant. This being below the frost line, this being above the frost line. If this hydrant's been installed for a long time and it hasn't been draining properly, you'll notice an extreme amount of rust up just so far, and then the hydrant may look normal from above that point. But from here down, if it looks like it's covered in barnacles, that means your hydrant has not been draining properly. And you're going to need to take the time to make sure that eventually you get water away from there. Now, to replace a set of washers in here, which is really the only working part that you have, the retaining ring holds the seat, cup, and ring washer in place. And as I said, you should have ordered ahead of time a set of Murdoc genuine leather hydrant washers. Again, the seat, cup, and ring washer. Now, those are simply replaced by removing the valve packing ring, prying the old washers out with your screwdriver, and the seat washer that's located in here is going to be held in either with a flat-headed screwdriver or a screw or a Phillips head. I'm not sure what model you may have, so you're going to need to check and make sure you have both sets of screwdrivers with you. You simply remove the valve packing ring, pry those old washers out, remove the seat washer, and reassemble in that same order seat, cup, and ring washer. Now, the seat washer is held in with that screw, and then the ring washer goes in next with a bevel down. The cup washer goes in next with a bevel down, then the ring washer on top of it. Then the valve packing ring follows. Now, it's not critical that this valve packing ring meet the brass. Brass does not need to meet brass. What you're doing is compressing these leather washers a little bit to keep them in place. And I would also recommend at this point in time that you get a hold of a little Vaseline or petroleum jelly and make sure that you coat the inside of these new washers, because chances are when you've tightened this all down, you squeeze these washers a little bit and it's going to be very tight when it goes up and down on the bottom connection. Remember, you replace a set of washers and this is going to be a very tight fit when it goes down and locks in place. So make sure you put a little Vaseline on there. And again, if you have an issue here that the pipe is very rusted, make sure you repaint it with a good old Rust-Oleum or some sort of heavy oil-based type paint to keep that rust from going any further. If when you take it apart you find that you've got holes in this piece of pipe, it can be easily replaced. However, I would recommend that you measure the overall length of this entire hydrant assembly here, because when you cut and thread the new pipe, it's critical that it's the same length overall as it was before, because the outer casing pipe that's still in the ground corresponds to the inner length of the pipe inside. Now, once you've reassembled all that, once your paint's dry on the in the inner pipe, you would do the reassembly accordingly. And you can see this is a dual pipe design. This is what sets a Murdoc hydrant apart from everybody else in the country. We manufacture a two-pipe design, which makes it a very, very heavy-duty unit. You don't need a backhoe to get in here. You don't need a shovel. Everything can be serviced from above grade. And if you're a maintenance person, you know damn good and well you don't want to make a phone call to the tool rental place if you can avoid it. So to reassemble this, you simply put the inner works back down into the hydrant, making sure that this only can go one way. As it drops back down in there, you may meet some resistance, and so you're going to need to push it down onto that. Those new washers are going to have to go around that valve stem. Now, once you get it down into the casting here, you're going to need to take your screwdriver and pry it back over so that this side goes underneath this lip here. That'll leave your area over here taken the way it is. And if you can reuse your bolt, that's great. If you have to put a new bolt down, that's fine too. But I would recommend maybe a little never seize be put on the threads here that you see so that you can get it out again next time to service it. Simply put your casting back down in place, your retaining clip, and then thread this nut back down into place. And when you do this, make sure you snug it up. It's not critical that you over tighten anything. Again, you need to have things loose that they operate properly. Not so loose that they come apart, but they don't need to be so tight that you can't turn your key on there and turn it loose. And that is very simply how a Murdoc street washer is serviced. If you have any questions, be sure to call us at 1-800-453-7465. You're going to ask for me, Bob Murdock, and I'll be happy to talk to you about taking care of your hydrant or your drinking fountain or your shower or any other of the water service products that we manufacture here in the United States. Love to hear about your old hydrant, whether it's located on the farm or your park or your train station. We'd love to have a photograph of it. We'll put it on our website because we're collecting old photographs and would love to hear from you. So once again, look for us at www.murdocsupersecure.com or at 1-800-453-7465. Thank you.